Hello, Rick here on Certifiably Ingame with the next cultural index, this one on the brute species from Halo, known as the Jiralhanae. They're the second race encountered by humanity when the Covenant attacked Harvest. They've got a strong pack mentality, living as tribes, developing feuds and clashing with one another throughout their entire history. The leader of the pack is a chieftain who is the strongest or the smartest, often both, as they are chosen through mortal combat with the former chieftain. These smaller packs are often a few dozen members in size. They are then allied into a collection of packs called the Master Packs, and these in turn belong to the Alpha tribes. The most influential governing bodies of the Jiralhanae are the Ratol and the Veloth. Often these two collections are found on opposing sides. One, the Ratol, represented the strength and the primal nature of the brutes, while the other focused on the incorporation of new ideas, the species' adaptability. Strength and adaptability, two key aspects of the Jiralhanae culture that we will come to see are essential to their survival. Although some tribes have their own cultural quirks, for example the Maccabeus clan used the affix us at the end of the name when their young came of age. Tartar, Tartarus. Maccabe, Maccabeus. Jiralhanae release pheromones that alert others to their emotional state, and while this is mostly a subconscious effect, by the time of adulthood they've often learned to control these emissions. They're covered in a thick fur, but it's not uncommon for them to shave it from their face, or even it seems their limbs. This can be seen in the soldiers that make up the bulk of the enemies in Halo 3. A possible reason for this trim could be the military protocol for practical reasons. Reaching an advanced age is a feat in and of itself in this warlike culture, so therefore silver hair among the pack is a sign of respect, a mark that you have survived challenges and emerged victorious. When a Jiralhanae is forced into a corner, an adrenaline-style chemical floods their body and drives them into a sort of Berserker status. While in this state of primal rage, they lash out at anything that moves, anything that may be a threat. Once triggered, the brute is feral and incommunicable, only stopping when they wear themselves out. An even more frightening aspect once you consider that the Jiralhanae are carnivorous, and not above eating other sentient species. This Berserker status dulls their pain sense to the point where Marines can empty a full clip into one and have it continue its reckless charge. So that's what to expect as an enemy of the Jiralhanae, but what about their pack mentality? Feelings among the pack are a mixture of intense loyalty and animalistic rivalry. While members of a pack must fight alongside each other and present a strong, united force against their rivals, internal pack structure is determined by strength and adaptability. This leads to a level of constant competition during which violent fights and conflicts often occur, sometimes fatal. Almost all of this infighting ceases, however, when presented with an external threat, a leftover trait bred into them by the harsh environment of their homeworld, Doisak. The planet has 3 moons, Tiesh, Solrapt and Mirail, and it's tectonically very active. This leads to a varied climate of jungles, plains and oceans, very high ore deposits, and the lunar gravitational pull of 3 moons means that navigating the planet can be a chaotic affair when relying on unshielded technologies. The tidal forces are also much more varied. All this, whilst the gravity being twice that of Earth, means that the Jiralhanae are powerful, thick-skinned and savage, living up to the moniker Brute. The Alpha tribes are the ruling body of the Jiralhanae, and they've fought several wars over various stages of their cultural evolution. Once they reached the development of industry and mechanized combat. They then warred themselves back into a pre-industrial state. They then had to rebuild once again before they could continue their development. This was the Great Civil War, or the First Immolation, where, after many smaller wars and skirmishes among countless packs, Ruksh began a bloody campaign to subjugate all of Doisak. In a way he did, as alongside his ceremonial warhammer, nuclear weapons claimed countless lives. We've seen the story of a culture falling prey to nuclear war and regressing their development by several decades in the Krogan from Mass Effect. But in an interesting twist, the Jiralhanae were able to rebuild their society over the course of many decades, practically back to the point they'd been at before they nuked themselves. This shows a great deal of fortitude in the species, a reflection of that pack mentality, that strange mixture of rivalry and conflict, but with the ability to adapt and grow when faced with a greater threat. Whether that threat is another species or a self-inflicted cultural collapse. However, their animalistic nature is always forcing its way to the surface. Many brutes had differing views on their post-nuclear state. Some felt ashamed at their actions as a species. Some felt that it was a good thing as technology was subtracting from them as a whole, while others didn't care either way. One of the most prominent views was that what happened, happened, and that they would emerge stronger for it, forged anew as it were. So this ability to rebuild falls short of being truly inspiring, however, as by the time the Covenant encountered the Jiralhanae, they were already using their relearned technologies to kill one another again. Bravo. It's for this reason that there are odds with the Sangheili race of the Covenant, who are a very stoic, honour-bound and respectful species. They immediately were distrustful of the brute's feral nature. Seeing their history and the way technology had been used, the elites limited the gifts of the Covenant, holding back key technologies and abilities from the species that they deemed unworthy. In fact, there's a story of Maccabeus' ship, the Rapid Conversion, having much of its weaponry and systems disabled by the Sangheili before being given to the brutes. Now, because this included the gravity lifts, Maccabeus replaced them with ladders that the elite's leg structure found very uncomfortable and ungraceful to accommodate. This is really not relevant, but come on, I find it hilarious that they can be so subtle and childish in an act of revenge. When it comes to the opposing gender, well, we just don't know. The fact is that we never see a female Jiralhanae, so this suggests they occupy different areas of society, and their absence from packs whilst at war heavily implies that your typical brute male is, well, no Romeo. The Jiralhanae government was stabilised and centralised by the Covenant, with a singular chieftain being chosen to rule over all the packs. This reforming government brought with it a uniform purpose in that of the Great Journey, and now with a focused goal and support from the galactic community, the Jiralhanae entered a new stage of their culture. Many of them saw that throwing in their lot with the Covenant to be an obvious choice. They offered advancement, purpose, and had stabilised their loose government structure. Many, too, adapted the faith of the Prophet's Great Journey willingly, as demanded by the Covenant. This means that a great deal of their culture was replaced by that of the Sanshum, the ruling body of the Covenant. Still, we see aspects from their earlier times, such as they possess several ceremonial items from their pre-spacefaring times. Items such as the massive stone hammer, the Fist of Rukt. It should be noted that these relics are functional tools rather than things artistic, and only remain in positions of reverence due to their continued functionality. They've never shied away from new technologies and the powers that they bring, reaching the spacefaring age twice in their development, and more recently, adapting the Covenant technologies they were allowed to function across multiple assets, such as mounting plasma weaponry on their vehicles. This practically displays their entire attitude towards development. If it works, stick with it, but if you can make it better, then do so. Their practical approach to things led for a utilitarian but aggressive look in their technology, and their aptitude for close combat was accessorized upon by mounting blades on most of their weaponry, even ranged vehicles, making them dangerous dance partners to tango with indeed. Strength and adaptability. Two key aspects of the Jiralhanae we see echoed throughout their culture that wrap around their primal nature. If it weren't for these traits, the brutes would have warred themselves into extinction many years before the Covenant even found them. The simple fact that they're still here shows that there is more to this race than the namesake suggests, though admittedly not by much. So with that wrapped up, tell us what species you'd like to see indexed next. And with the launch of Destiny 2, we thought we'd keep it Bungie themed, and it'd be a good idea to dive into a new universe of cultures. So this time, the choices are between the Fallen and the Big Bad Cabal. Like the appropriate comment below to cast your vote, and of course, there is a ton more on the brutes that we didn't get to talk about, so share what you know below. Oh, and while writing the script for this, I dropped in NATO phonetic alphabet words into the script because Halo. And fun. Virtual chocolate cookies to whoever spots it. So here's a hint, ignore the alpha. Alright, thanks for watching. I've been Rick, and this has been a quick look at the brutes. We'll catch you next time, when we'll be having a look at something from Destiny. Till then, thanks again. Goodbye.